All right, welcome everyone. We are Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Legend of the Galactic Heroes, episode 32. All right.
I look above the stars. Oh shit, yeah.
Gyersberg is here to take a fat dump on your ill-prepared military. So please go cry to Yang.
Yeah. All right, I'm resigning. I hate you guys. You suck. I didn't want to be working for you guys anyways.
And I'm taking Admiral with me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna go drink with my cat. No, I'm not gonna make my cat drink. No, I'm not a lady. Jesus.
I'm going to do the craziest revolution you can imagine with no military power. There you go. I just want to go live my quiet, peaceful life somewhere. Hey, Yang.
Yeah.
No, stop it.
My name is something Yang.
Yeah.
I am 34 years
Yang
old.
Wenli.
Yang Wenli. Yeah, that's
Wenli,
right.
yeah.
But anyways, guys, memeing aside, this show has escalated things to
Just
crazy levels and stupid levels.
Mm-hmm.
We are dealing with the equivalent of. So what you're saying is for Admiral Yang, but then we're also dealing with the fact that the Empire is unified and on the move. So
The alliance is boned.
yeah. Thankfully,
Even with Yang, they're boned.
Yeah. Thankfully, though, Fejon doesn't seem to be moving as fast as the Empire.
That's
is.
true.
So they're forming their team, but they
Right.
haven't fully allied, I believe, at least not yet,
In
with the
visible
Empire.
ways. Yeah,
Right. They're probably setting the stage for when the Empire does probably their next wave of attacks.
Sure.
Because Gyersberg is probably just the shock and awe moment of, yeah, we can do that. We can do that.
Yeah.
Why did we stop here? Who knows? Probably some kind of refuel situation.
Or because Iserlon's here, maybe,
Well, right, but like, there's nothing to say that light speed restricts them from going past Gyersberg and be like, sup? You put a wall there. I just went around it. Around it.
So here's a crazy thought. What if they ended up taking Iserlon back and then did the same thing with Iserlon, and then you have these two swinging balls of death that just
Emperor literally comes back to a second Death Star.
right.
They made another one,
At
but
the
bigger.
same time,
Don't give Disney any ideas, Jacob.
Right.
They're like, oh, that's the only thing we haven't done yet. Oh my God. So, y'all, let's just jump right into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion. Okay.
All right.
Guys, this was incredible.
Yeah.
This was so good. We got the full spectrum of everything I think we expected to get from this episode and 10% more of other good stuff.
And that's one of the things that's really blown me away here is that a lot of the stuff that Legend has been doing in the past several episodes, there have been little things here and there that, that surprise me, right? Of details of how the show's doing things. But it's mainly just going along the beats that is expected, right? That it's set up before now.
Efficiently, in a well-detailed, quality way.
But it's doing it in that, really quality way, where it's just good. So the fact that I'm not really surprised by what happens doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
I'm still super excited to see it. The fact that they talk about the whole Gyersberg versus Iserlon. Well, Iserlon is a lot bigger, but
the guns are
do we really want to see Iserlon and Gyersberg actually fire on each other? That's no.
Yeah, the gun on Gyersberg was 80% of the capacity of Iserlon's.
Yeah,
so it's no, you might as well basically be just taking it really hard.
This isn't some RTS where as long as you're not at 0 hit points, you're still functioning. This is space where you get hit by something like that, it doesn't matter if you're bigger and can also pulverize the other side. You're done. So, yeah.
What I'm really excited to see also is the idea of a prolonged conflict. I think because of the way that this show has done space battles, they actually expedite them quite quickly.
Sure.
Like, they make sure that things keep snappy. Ships blow up in like a few shots, which makes sense, to be fair.
Yeah.
I really like the fact that space is that terrifying.
Right.
A couple fighters getting close can just tear apart a frigate.
Yeah, it's about having thousands of ships, not having bigger ships.
Exactly. And in this case now, we have gotten to the level of fortresses and Death Stars. So, does that change? I would say, yes, it's guaranteed to change. It's that we're dealing with things that are well, in some ways, to tie things to what the Secretary of Defense and the university professor guy, I'll go and check his name in a second here. We're talking about
Oliveira, I think.
Oliveira, yeah. Or, yeah, one of those. But right. He was saying that war brings about advancements in civilization. What might be more accurate is to say it brings some advancements in technology.
Sure.
And what we are seeing here is the results of going through the crucible of wars, technological advancements against another nation's technological advancements, and smash them together.
Right. Theoretically, you could it'd be very expensive, but you could solve the planet problem just by building a bunch of mobile space stations or something. I don't know. Who knows?
It depends. But you have to have energy in order to run everything.
Right.
Then but if you have resources in order to produce the energy.
Iserlohn and Geiersberg, then theoretically you could do more, whatever, figure out how to make it more refined down the road, but
we'll see. They'll become the Borg eventually in like 10,000 years. But
yeah.
The point is that we are in a situation where war has escalated to the point where we're throwing mini planets at each other. It's exciting from the entertainment aspect, but
terrifying from the
consequences of half or a third of the human species and race could be wiped out pretty soon.
Yeah, and this is
the alliance gets defeated. Which that's a little bit extreme, but
this is one of the things though that I really appreciate, because with a lot of the sci-fi that came out, think like Star Wars and stuff, right?
Which is not sci-fi, by the way.
Well, yeah, it's a sci-fi fantasy, right? Yeah. It's a very different kind of thing. But the Death Star, right?
Right.
I feel like that was sort of this allusion to the terrifying nature of like nukes and stuff, right? Even though it was just the death ray for the evil person with the cape,
Totally 80s style, 70s style villains.
Yep. Right. It had that fear and that nature and that, oh my God, what is this?
What have we made?
What have we made?
Yeah.
Right. And it sort of went along those same lines, but because it's sci-fi, it's bigger and better, right?
Right.
And I think I mentioned in the episode where they actually used the nukes that oftentimes in sci-fi, even in sci-fi, when they have all this crazy stuff, they still can't top nukes, right? That there's you don't make something more terrifying than that, and that's kind of what the Death Star was. And here we're getting to that with the Alliance and the Empire. So given that there's this major theme with Yang's whole, thing that he talks about with war being awful and whatnot, because it is, then this is a wonderful way to portray that in a simple, blunt,
spherical way.
manner. Yeah.
So we have ourselves the inquiry continuing. It goes exactly as predicted. They practically beg, sort of, Yang to go and do the thing and save us all. What I love here is that they reminded us that it's going to take some time for him to get back there. So that's one little scale sense of things here that's really important.
Yep.
Another thing was that he actually did things a little bit differently than what I would predicted. He wasn't as petty regarding the actual thing there. He's like, oh no, I know it needs to be done. I care about a lot of people. So I'm going to go and do my duty here. But you might want to go investigate someone who made this all happen at a very curious time.
Right. You're going to need to make it up to me. Basically.
But what's so good is that he basically reminded them with his whole, monologue that he did, or his dialogue that he had with them, by saying who's actually the one that's useful here?
Right.
And now I'm going to, with just a few words, because he knows about how superficial and pointless this whole thing was, he jabbed back really well in a way that I would say is more mature than what I would have expected of him.
Fuck you guys,
Right, because in some ways this is something where Yang is in a situation where it'd be so easy to get really riled up, and we did see that in the previous episode. That was the whole result of the letter being letter of resignation. So, and
the whole thing of you guys are the parasites,
that's the other line that we'll bring up here,
because Yang's a good kid, right? You know, and he's not a kid, right? He's an adult and everything, right? But but he needs to be careful, right? Because the whole thing that I forget which one of the two guys that was against the invasion, which one it was that said it to him.
I'll bring this
but
up, yeah.
The whole thing of that absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? That even if you're this way right now, who's to say that Golden Bomb wasn't like that too? You know, like he was a fairly normal-ish guy that just had very strong opinions about things.
It was Rebello.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And so you know, keep an eye on yourself, right? Because yes, I totally don't believe you're that kind of person, right? I don't believe you're the person that they say you are,
right?
You know, but be careful.
Yeah, but think about what you're doing here, because while yes, we are seeing the seeds of despotism being sown here, the answer to that is not necessarily a more morally right despotism. But basically saying that we don't need you to basically come in as Caesar and defend the alliance and take, full executive power in the name of doing what's right.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't end well. Every time in history that has happened, that leads to really bad things. In fact, the direct comparison we have in the Star Wars prequels is a chancellor doing
this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause.
Right.
Yep.
Anytime you start to see the security of the citizens go so far in priority to the extreme, opposed to the freedoms of the citizens and civilians, you start to get into some really freaky territory.
A lot of things start to become acceptable. And this episode was even though this episode came out how long ago exactly?
Around 1990 or something.
It was rather topical.
I mean, this isn't an old. This isn't a new problem. New problem, Jacob.
But oh man,
I love that shows that have a huge focus on history can speak regarding such things that transcend the time that they were set
because
in.
People don't learn from history. The only thing people learn is that people don't learn.
I'm a little bit more optimistic than that. People very much learn from history. But the people that necessarily get voted in to these positions aren't necessarily those people.
A person may learn from history. You know, a person may be smart, but people are, dumb, panicky, and you know it.
Yeah, exactly. So while we can have, instances where, yes, lots of people do learn from history, and lots of people do see cycles and repetitions of specific things, but just because you see something doesn't mean you're going to interpret it properly.
Sure.
One of the things that's really, I would say, a humbling thing to constantly think about whenever you perceive a level of information. Sorry, let me backtrack here. Whenever you perceive anything, understand that there is a filter
of your own experience,
of your own experiences based on your perceptions. That in and of itself dilutes what you're seeing from the truth by a small percentage. You're probably, at least for most people, you're probably not diluting it too much. But
there is something there.
But the worst part is actually what comes next. The next part is where you then interpret what you observed into something that you want to take action on.
Right. And then the action will have another filter of how you see it.
But most times it's too late at that point. That's where it gets down to you're down to 10 to 15% of the truth. So you need basically that feedback. You need a group. You need a bunch of people disagreeing with each other. You need the ability to speak. You need a Kirheis. You need to have this discussion. It's so important. And here, Yang is basically getting made an example of to a private group, because we couldn't do this in public, because then our horrible logic would get, torn apart here.
I love that they were complaining about how he was being you said you didn't like the food. That's unbefitting of someone of your station. Oh my god.
Like,
oh my god.
Okay, sure. Keep talking, yeah.
Like, okay, you ever have those points where you say something really stupid, and you're like, and usually for me it's something where it's like, I'm not really thinking about what I'm saying, like before I say it, I'm just like that, and then I say something, I'm like, that was dumb.
Right.
Like that was just straight up dumb, right?
Yeah.
And usually, thankfully, it's something where I notice most of the time there when I say something dumb. And then, usually late at night I'll be like, damn it, why did I say that? But to be saying something as dumb as that and to not realize it because, there's been so much like self reinforcement and things like that it becomes that self-deification and everything. And then it's us, his superiors and things like that when it's like, wait, what do you actually do? What do you bring to the table really?
It's really interesting how when a simple question gets asked about things that you can just easily just statement out, and then you go, wait a minute, I never even did that. I never even did that internally. Yeah. Wow, that whole thing just fell apart because of one basic question.
I feel like this is sort of a testament for why not just supervillains, but also politicians should have a room of 5-year-olds that vet everything.
Second graders, maybe, give them the benefit of the doubt. These kids need to be able to speak in like
no, you just show it to them in like crayon drawings.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
And if you can't do it in crayon drawings in a way that they'll understand, and then you hand it out to them and they tell you where you're stupid, right? But yeah.
So we have the inquiry basically lead to the conclusion that yes, we need to send Yang out there. TrueKnit seems to be setting up something with this Islands character who gave me Hitman vibes. But I am very curious to see if this was a part of TrueKnit's plan. That the Secretary of Defense, Negoro Ponte, will be specifically sent out here to have this meeting with Yang that's innocuous or something, and then maybe it's like
it's being recorded.
It's being recorded, or it's being something that will be twisted in some way in the future. Yeah. I very much got that vibe. So that's that. It also is something where Bukok is there. So
here's something that I would if it was going to be the twisting, it and recording it and news angle and all that stuff. I could definitely see that happening because that was one of the other things that they brought up at the beginning of this episode is that the media is in Trinit's pocket, right? You can't actually, go to them about anything because they won't share the stories, right?
Right.
So if it was, it would make sense for that to be something that is being done because it's brought up in the same episode as the establishment of that fact about TrueKnit.
For sure. We got to see how the Alliance are responding to this. They're going to hold out at Iserlon. I am glad that they're choosing to do this, because if they hold out, what I think we'll find out here is whether or not actually the Geiersberg can survive a hit also in this regard.
Right.
Because what might end up happening is that the Empire has to make the decision of, okay, how much do we really need the Geiersberg Fortress? Because what might end up being realized here is they go, okay, we can weaken Iserlon to the point where our fleet could handle it, but we can't do enough damage to it without not only losing the Geiersberg, but also the gun that the Iserlon has, being able to do massive damage to our fleet.
Right.
So they might enter into a little bit of a kind of a long range, just kind of general bombardment where it's not extremely effective.
Well, I think my predictions is that because they talk about the en masse invasion, we haven't actually seen the Imperial fleet yet.
That's true,
right?
Yep.
And theoretically, why would they want to be there? Because the gods are about to do battle, so they'd warp in after, right? So they're assuming that the fleet is nearby. The fleet could just go through Fejon if they wanted or whatever. Who knows, right? But then what I would say is, okay, Geiersberg. Did we really need Geiersberg in the first place? Because the Iserlon was the only real fortress we needed. Why do we need a fortress within our own territory when the Alliance won't ever come into our territory, right?
They learned what happened about that last time.
Yeah. So okay, let's sacrifice Geiersberg to neutralize Iserlon.
Worth it.
Right, worth it. And that's how we can still get the death of Kemp and everything with the happy stuff with his family and have it not be something where the warping doesn't work. It's just that he is a pawn that is sacrificed, right? Iserlon is destroyed or at least crippled to the point where it's ineffective, right?
Yeah.
We could see a lot of deaths amongst the Alliance crew on board. And because, wouldn't you know, Yang's not there. So if something crazy were to happen, Julian's there. Yeah, but they could have escape boats or something like that.
Yeah.
Because maybe Iserlon isn't completely destroyed right away.
Yeah.
But like it's got huge chunks being blown out of it, and it's destabilized as a fortress, right? Mm-hmm. And then at that point, cool. Whether they get help from Feshdon or they don't, they can go either way. And they can totally destroy the Alliance as far as like numbers and stuff go. And there you go.
Mm-hmm. Like I see where that would lead. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, we got to see Attenborough over there. We got to see Shunkov, Murai, Kazern, and Julian, and even the pilots, Poplin and Konev.
Yeah.
Murkatz, I'm glad that Murkatz is there, giving basically those details.
The fact that Murkatz is there is the biggest thing that makes me think they might be okay. Like, they might be okay until Yang shows up.
Because what would be really fun to have is Murkatz basically going, I'm not Yang, but I know how a lot of their admirals think. When the fleet shows up, put me right next to whoever's in the primary command of the forces here, which I'm guessing is Kazern.
He secures the escape for everyone else after Iserlon is neutralized or something.
Oh, right. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about general countering of their strategies, where he's like, this is a classic Imperial move. Don't go and exchange fire with their left flank.
Or these are the ships we're up against. That means there's these people in command.
Right.
This is how they specifically think.
Right. We can exploit Bittenfeld.
Just wave some panties in front of him. Go crazy, right? And then it's like, and then he's learned.
Bittenfeld is like,
that's falling for that again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's just that moment of Murkatz like, he's grown.
Yeah.
The young fox has gotten some more sly.
Reinhardt, keeps his men on a tight leash. I like it.
It's like we're gonna have to flash the full chest at this point, and he's like, that's him up, and then he charges straight. Bittenfeld, god damn it! We love you, Bittenfeld.
Yeah, Bittenfeld, I think is my personal favorite of the admirals under Reinhardt that are fleet commanders and stuff. Oberstein's pretty awesome too.
I am astonished at you.
No, it's
there's so many good boys.
No, it's not based on any real logical
just the fact that he said the goddess of victory is waving her panties in our faces that.
Yes,
that was enough for you.
I'm still holding out that he at some point is going to actually have a set of panties on his head.
That's never going to happen.
No, I know.
You're going to have to make that meme yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so with them on their way, it's going to take them a month to get there. That's, a thing. We got to see Kempf being a gentleman. That's wonderful. We got to see the banter on the Alliance bit there. Although, just a little bit of a theme thing for this episode that I thought was really cleverly added in through the pilots actually going into their dialogue. Is when they bring up the idea of, if you say so, we're the one who elected those idiots, right? It's like, hey, I never voted for TrueKnit. This is probably one of my favorite little lines of argument here, is the thing of, hey, I'm not at fault. I didn't vote that guy in.
Oh, sure.
And then the guy's like, well, if you don't like it, then do something. Become a teacher and start an enlightenment movement.
And that was sort of tongue-in-cheek of that'll do anything. But the thing is...
is that the principle is still right.
Well, the principle is still right, but that also is tying into the whole idea of, well, do something about it. Yeah. I know that you see them as parasites that need to be cleansed, but we had some people that tried that just recently, and it didn't go over too well. I know
recently in terms of galactic history, recently. Yeah.
Well, no, but just with the coup.
Oh, the coup.
The coup, because that's what that was.
Sure,
Grinhill saw it.
It was literally the same thing.
And TrueKnit saw that he would see it, so he left, right? So he could still be the cockroach on top of the hill, right?
I mean,
but now the people under Yang are saying it, and they've said it.
They're saying, hey, don't do that.
Right, don't do that. But there's been talk through multiple people, even Shunkov mentioned, you could just wait and let them get rid of the people during the coup and then save them, right? So there will come a point probably where everyone else under Yang is going to be saying King of the North, and Yang will be like,
Ooh, Yeah.
I'm not sure if I want to do that.
Yeah. You know what I just realized? Shunkov said that.
Yeah.
That's literally what Reinhardt did back with the nukes.
Yeah, basically.
That's the
Kinda,
difference
yeah.
between the two of them, though.
Mm-hmm.
Reinhardt
Sure.
has already done that.
Right, and it was
He's on the
and
other
even though
side
it was
of
something
it.
where he wasn't truly wanting to do it, there were ways that he probably could have stopped. He definitely could have stopped it, and
Reinhardt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Reinhardt has no illusions about what he wants. It's more about how he's going to get what he wants, which is he wants to control the universe. But boy, that's so. I like that you brought that up because the idea that the coup was something that was so recent, so fresh in everyone's mind, that Yang is casually saying these things, even though he was rejecting the idea of these things on principle, when the situation presented itself, he still jokingly threw out the idea of exterminating them.
And jokes get at what everyone is thinking but won't say.
Yep, that is the nature of why comedians are
that's
the
why
ones that speak the truth.
That's why right now we're listening to comedians and laughing at politicians. But because that's kind of how it works, right? So if Yang continues to make jokes about that, especially in front of any of his men, the fact that he's doing it in this enclosed space, that's one thing.
That's
right?
one thing.
Where it's just he's with the cockroaches,
In
right?
some
And
ways,
he's saying, let's not kid ourselves.
Right,
You're
but
cockroaches.
it is part of the reason why he ends up getting confronted, probably by those very politicians who are on his side, going, "Hey, I'm for you, but
just
you
so
still
you know,
scare me a little bit."
I'm interested in a long-term relationship, but there are still a couple red flags that I have seen.
Right.
You know,
if you're
they're
going
not
to
big,
establish,
but
if you're going to establish a relationship with someone, you need to get to know them a little bit more. You need to look at not just what they're saying, but what they've done.
Right. And so, and if they're and not gloss over potential red flags, but bring them up, because then maybe you can have good communication and see where everyone's at. You know.
And Yang isn't really ready to get in bed with politicians.
No.
Yet. But
But
one of the probable unfortunate things with the way Yang's doing things is that he was already being called, what was he called, a public figure by the Secretary of Defense? Like an official figure or something like that? That's actually a little freaky. Why is a military admiral being looked at as a public kind of figure with regards to...
Everyone else was such forking idiots.
Right. Wow, yeah. In a lot of ways, the Alliance as it is already screwed. It's just a question of if or when Yang does something that tries to save the Alliance, is it something that is going to lead to an even worse future, or are there going to be enough people that are on his side that are involved in this that will keep him from having to actually take on the ultimate absolute power mantle for the greater good?
Yeah, and
that'd be some wonderful conflict drama development intrigue, but that's a good ways from now, because we've got to hopefully because we have a pretty large scale conflict that will take a good chunk of time to be resolved,
or who knows. Probably, because it could also just be next episode starts with 2 wreckages floating in space.
I don't think that's going to happen. But it also could start with next episode where we're like, Yang, you arrived at the end of the episode. We're like, you arrived. And it's like, well, this is actually going really well. But, sir, the other end, the Fejon corridor.
Yeah.
It's the Imperial fleet.
Right. They're all there right now. Yeah. Yep.
So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
That's right. Does it also involve maybe corruption of power and things like that? You'll have to see. It's called Battle Lines. It's awesome. It's on Amazon. Link in the description.
So if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.